Somerset levels. But help is at hand. Royal Marines work to build sandbag defences across the region, as well as assisting with the evacuation of residents.
I mean, this is particularly dramatic given that today is a relatively clear day, so in bright sunshine you can see quite clearly the level of misery that this water has brought to this particular area.
Other parts of the county have been underwater for 5 weeks, with some properties suffering 3 waves of separate flooding. Southern England has experienced its worst spell of winter rainfall in nearly 250 years.
Record rainfall has also been causing havoc here in Cork in Ireland, resulting in a nightmarish journey home for people returning from work. Business owners did what they could, but couldn't stop the inevitable.
The northwest of France has also been in the front line of the gales and rain. In one town, homes close to the sea have been evacuated. Weather warnings remain in place across the northwest of France. Authorities said 70,000 homes were without power, and the number could rise after winds of 120 kilometers per hour hit the coastline on Thursday night.
The weather's changing dramatically in the west. A rare snowstorm pounded Portland, Oregon yesterday,
where relentless snow and ice is impacting millions. Take a look at some of this video. There were 600 crashes in Oregon alone.
At least 2 deaths are blamed on a fierce winter storm in the Pacific Northwest. As much as 18 inches of snow fell in some places in 2 days. A number of roads are icy and dangerous, resulting in wipeouts, crashes, and cars sliding. Some cars were abandoned by the side of the road.
So disruptive is the winter storm that's blasting the Pacific Northwest. Early this morning, the city of Portland sent its first ever wireless emergency alert to cell phones, urging all residents to stay indoors today and not travel due to ice.
Now head a little further south, an area that certainly needs the rain, but California is getting inches of it. Homes and highways were flooded north of San Francisco, and this is a type of pattern that's going to set up that brings up to perhaps 9 to 11 inches in some parts of California.
Desperately needed for the driest year so far in the state's history. Still not enough to ease the drought.
The worst snowstorm in decades has swept across Japan, killing 13 people and injuring more than 1,500. The storm dumped 13 inches of snow on an area, parts of which were devastated by the tsunami in March 2011. This is the heaviest fall recorded here in 78 years.
The biggest snowstorm in 45 years blanketed the Tokyo metropolitan area on Saturday with 27 centimeters of snow accompanied by strong winds.
Tens of thousands lost power and hundreds of flights were cancelled. While some waited to fly out of the Japanese capital, many incoming air passengers struggled to get home due to conditions on the roads.
This CCTV captures the shocking moment as sinkhole swallows 8 ragdoll vets at a car museum in Kentucky.
First, you see the ground shake a little. Then a black hole seems to open up underneath the orange car. But watch here. A short time later, the ground completely caves, swallowing the iconic cars.
After sweeping through wide swaths of the South, a winter storm dumped more than a foot of snow in parts of the mid-Atlantic region.
This storm has caused real suffering. 100 million Americans in its path in 14 separate states, 1 million air travelers affected in all. For a time today, the number of people without electricity hovered near 750,000.
Across the South, the storm encased power lines with more than an inch of ice capable of bringing down trees.
Xander in North Carolina, where thousands of drivers found themselves stuck in Charlotte's Web. With up to 6 inches of snow falling, more than the city averages in an entire year, by mid-afternoon, the backups extended for miles. Gridlock extended to Raleigh-Durham, too, with some people abandoning their cars altogether.
The most destructive storm so far this winter is taking one last shot at the Northeast.
Philadelphia, the storm reaching historic proportions.
This winter storm has now broken a 130-year record for the most 6-inch-plus storms in a season.
This morning, millions along the East Coast crippled by ice and heaps of snow. The storm already responsible for at least 20 deaths.
As of yesterday, 49 of the 50 states were covered in snow. The only holdout, the Sunshine State of Florida.
A volcano has erupted in Indonesia, covering the country's most heavily populated island in ash.
More than 100,000 people have been evacuated and 3 international airports shut down. That eruption on Java Island left 2 people dead after the roofs of their homes collapsed.
Sharing the weather misery battering the eastern U.S. is Great Britain, being hit by what's described as the worst run of weather in 250 years. In fact, take a look at this incredible satellite photo. It shows the latest storms of the U.S. and U.K. linked by a sweeping band of clouds across the Atlantic.
Catastrophic flooding has swallowed neighborhoods in southern England whole, worsened by yet another ferocious storm that swept in over the weekend. It's been relentless. 20 inches of rain and counting. Last month was the rainiest ever. If anything, this month has been even worse. For months, Britain has been battered by savage winter storms, packing hurricane-force winds and torrential rain.
As floodwaters continue to rise across much of England and Wales, at least 3 people have been killed.
At least 42 people have been killed and more than 50,000 affected by heavy rains and severe flooding across parts of Bolivia. Families grab what they can and flee in boats or canoes, forced to leave behind their animals.
Ranchers are worried. They say nearly 4 million cattle are in danger of dying. Torrential rains have left devastation throughout North and South Bolivia. In the state of Beni, the waters are racing by the minute.
Barges have reportedly been used to transport tons of food to victims who are cut off from resources due to the high waters.
Officials say the torrential rains have already flooded 80% of the state, an area 5 times the size of Switzerland.
So severe is the situation in parts of Bolivia that the government has declared a state of emergency. Rain is expected here at this time of year, but this year it's been particularly intense. Tens of thousands are in desperate need, and the government says help is on its way. But whilst the heavy rain continues, the fear is there could yet be more loss of life.
Fresh heavy snow in eastern Japan has left 12 people dead and over 1,000 injured. The snowstorm has led to widespread power outages, with officials saying that nearly 250,000 homes were without power at one point on Saturday.
Thousands of drivers trapped in standstill traffic for nearly a day. Officials set up portable toilets on the highways and delivered food to people stuck. Japan's been hit by a second wave of heavy snowfall in a week. Roofs buckled under the weight of snow, including at this gymnasium in Fujimi City.
A further 2,150 people have been evacuated from their homes over fears the weight of the snow would cause their houses to collapse.
The result? Record snowfall levels in central Japan for 120 years.
A series of unusual earthquakes rattled Oklahoma overnight, the largest of magnitude 3.8. Those quakes follow a rare pair of jolts in South Carolina. The first on Friday registered a magnitude 4.1. That was near the border with Georgia. A few miles away, a 3.2 aftershock hit on Sunday afternoon.
You think of plates rubbing against each other like the San Andreas Fault. This is different. We are in the middle of the North American plate. How can there be an earthquake here in the middle of a plate? This is called an intraplate earthquake, an earthquake that takes place inside one of the plates. But these intraplate earthquakes are because of fissures in the plate that are very ancient. We haven't even cataloged them yet.
If you're in Oklahoma and you think you feel the ground shake, A, you're probably right. There have been 103 freaking earthquakes in Oklahoma just since Friday. Apparently, the more shallow earthquakes are in Oklahoma, well, those are the ones that are more likely to sound like bombs going off. They make huge explosion sounds.
Already, cities in the eastern United States have seen huge increases in snowfall this winter. Toledo, Ohio, over 42 inches more than normal. Newark, New Jersey, over 41 inches more than normal. New York City's Central Park has received over 40 inches more than normal. Bridgeport, Connecticut, over 36 inches more than usual. And in Allentown, Pennsylvania, over 44 inches above normal. People in agreement everywhere. Enough already.
A blast of thunder and a brilliant flash of lightning.
I saw a big
ball of light.
A February thunderstorm rocks part of the region that had some running for cover and left destruction in its wake.
Looks like those sound waves were so strong, some people said their windows were blown out. We were in Philadelphia's Roxborough neighborhood as crews responded to reports of broken windows and power outages. Thankfully, no one was hurt. People all over the city, though, couldn't believe what they heard.
Neighbor after neighbor still scratching their heads, wondering what happened.
Windows were shattered, many blown out completely as an unusual jolt of thunder and lightning passed through our area.
If a picture is worth 1,000 words, this one is worth that and then some.
A pond in this Wichita neighborhood has turned red. Half of it is owned by Freddie Fernandez, who says the water started turning pink in the morning and then just kept getting redder and redder all day.
Residents in Midwest and the South are picking up the pieces today after 22 tornadoes ripped through 8 states. Illinois was hardest hit with 8 twisters over the last 2 days. There was extensive damage to homes, but no injuries reported.
This is Concord, Illinois. Same tornado in the background. That's snow. Piles of slush in the foreground, tornado in the background. You want to talk about whiplash. Never seen that before.